Hey, gorgeous. Did you seriously think you knew him? Or were you blind all along? Imagine this. The person you lifted, the one you helped, was sitting on billions? Yeah, billions. And you had no idea. Crazy, right? But here's the kicker. It's not just a shock. It's a lesson. You see, most people live in the shadows, being ignored, dismissed, forgotten. But not you. You're different. You noticed. You cared. You acted. And that's why you're still here, still hungry, still awake. And that's why this video, yeah, it's for you. Only for the ones ready to see the truth, to wake up and step into a new level. By the end, you're not just gonna know, you're gonna feel it. Every moment of doubt, every time someone looked past you, every silent struggle you endured, it's all about to flip upside down. And guess what? I want you to comment on your story below. Share your fire, let the world see your grind, your hunger, your rise. Watch every second. Because skipping, that's how you miss the part that changes everything. You're not just an audience, you're the energy, the rebellion, the pulse of this video. This one's a tribute to you, the overlooked, underestimated, the ones who refuse to settle. Now stick around, pay attention, and get ready. What you think you knew about people, about power, about life, is about to explode. And trust me, by the end, you'll see the world differently. And maybe, just maybe, start bending it your way. They smiled at you, pretended to see you, pretended to care. But their eyes slid past, like glass over a storm. You carried their weight, lifted their dreams, sweated in silence while they laughed in their comfortable bubbles. And you thought it mattered, but it never did. The world thrives on the unseen, the overlooked, the ones who bleed quietly. They measure your worth in convenience. Your value is a shadow. You give, you bend, you obey, and they leave. Every single time. And you nod, you apologize. You say, it's okay, while the fire inside curls like smoke around your ribs. Invisible chains are heavier than iron. You feel them when no one is watching, when your stomach knots at opportunity slipping past, when your hands are empty, but your mind is full of sacrifices no one notices. The shame is exquisite, delicious even. They push you, dismiss you, and call it normal. And you swallow it again and again, thinking maybe someday they'll see. But what they never tell you is that this is the forge. Pain is the hammer, rejection is the anvil. Every insult you swallow hammers your spirit into something sharper, something that can cut through the noise. The chains, they are not the end, they are the blueprint. The weight you carry will teach you how to throw it back, with precision, with fury, with laughter. Look at them now, comfortable in their illusions, oblivious to the storms and people they discarded. You could scream, you could rage, you could break, or you could watch, study, learn, and let the quiet anger grow, spiral, coil. It whispers, promises power. It tells you that being ignored is an advantage no one else understands. Chains are not punishment. Chains are patience. They teach the unseen how to wait, how to observe, how to strike. One day, the world will remember your name, One day, the hand that held them up will crush what held it down. And in that moment, you won't feel satisfaction. You'll feel inevitability. The invisible chains will snap, and you will stand laughing in the ruins. The hand you lifted held more than you knew, more than you imagined, more than you deserved to see. You smiled. You helped. You believed it was small, ordinary. But behind the calm, there was a kingdom waiting. Quiet, patient, lurking in plain sight. And you were blind. They never told you their power. They never flaunted it. They let you believe the story you wanted to hear. Every favor you gave, every second you wasted, you thought it was kindness. You thought it was human, but it was strategy. Every act of help, a thread in a web you didn't see forming, and now it pulses, waiting. Imagine the weight of that truth, the realization that the one you lifted could have crushed you, that the world you served silently was theirs to command, and you had no idea. Every moment of labor, every sacrifice, every nod and smile, invisible currency. And they were counting it all, watching, calculating, smiling. The world is a theater of masks. The quietest man, the humblest voice, sometimes the most dangerous player. You didn't see it. You couldn't see it. And that's why the shock cuts so deep. It's not betrayal. Not exactly. It's revelation. The truth that everyone has a hidden weight. Everyone has a hidden fire. And most of us, we never see it coming. You feel it, don't you? That prickling in your chest. That bitterness. That spark of envy. That delicious sting of why not me? They thrive in silence while the world applauds the obvious. They move while everyone else waits. And you were their audience, not their equal. But here's the secret. Audience can become king. One choice, one strike, one moment of chaos. And so you learn. You observe, you record, you swallow the shock, and you turn it over in your mind like a blade. The invisible empire they held becomes a lesson, a map, a whisper in the dark. You helped a giant without knowing it, and now you understand. The world doesn't hand power to those who deserve it. It hands power to those who recognize it, who see it, who wait for the perfect moment to claim it. Some wear masks so well, even their reflection lies. They smile, they nod, they whisper, "I'm nothing," and everyone believes them. The quiet ones, the ones who shuffle in the corners, they hide storms behind their calm. And you never saw it coming. Mediocrity is a costume worn to lull the world into comfort. They pretend weakness, they pretend doubt, they pretend failure, and the crowd applauds. They never suspect the fire simmering under those thin skins, the subtle, quiet hunger that waits, the storm waiting to rip through everything you thought you knew. You think you know someone. You think you've measured their strength. But appearances are tools. They are lies dressed in flesh. You helped the silent, the overlooked, the nothing, who carried galaxies behind their eyes. And the moment they remove the mask, you'll understand how blind you've been, how foolish, how deliciously naive. The mask isn't just for hiding. It's for sharpening. It's for learning. The quiet ones, the ignored, the underestimated, they watch, they absorb. Every laugh at their expense becomes fuel, every eye that slides past them, another brick in their empire. And the world thinks they are nothing, until they aren't. Do you feel the itch yet? That small anger twisting in your chest? That thrill that bites like ice? That's the first taste of clarity. The mask fools the world, but it doesn't fool the wearer. And when they finally rise, when they finally step from behind the false face, the world will feel the impact of every second it dismissed them. So look around. Study the quiet. Watch the ones you think are weak. Count their steps. Notice the patience in their eyes, the way they move without care. Someday, someone will remove their mask. And when they do, chaos will follow. Because what the world calls mediocrity is just the calm before domination. If you are full, the world ignores you. It walks past you like you are air. Only the hungry are seen. Only the ones clawing, scraping, bleeding for more get noticed. That itch in your chest, that fire in your gut, that's not weakness. That's survival screaming at you. Hunger isn't polite. Hunger doesn't ask permission. It gnaws at bones. It keeps you awake at night. It whispers truths no one else dares speak. The world hands out crumbs to the patient, but the hungry take everything, and they take it without apology. Look at your life. Every time someone got ahead of you, every time someone ignored you, every time your effort vanished in their comfort, that was the spark, that sting, that taste of rage. And rage, properly honed, is more useful than talent, more lethal than luck, more intoxicating than praise. The hunger teaches clarity. It cuts illusions in half. It shows you the liars, the pretenders, the fools who think safety is strength. You realize how much of your life you gave to shadows, to walls, to people who never understood your teeth. And now you understand. Hunger is the weapon. Hunger is the map. Hunger is the knife you carry quietly in your chest. You see, the world loves the full, the fed, the complacent. They sleep, they repeat, they celebrate mediocrity. But you are awake, you are restless. You feel every loss like a firebrand. You remember every slight, every invisible shove. And you know, one day, that hunger will be more than memory. It will be motion, it will be violence, it will be glory. So embrace it. Let it bite. Let it tear at you until your veins hum. Let it whisper in your ear that what you want, what you deserve, will not be given. It must be taken. It must be claimed. And when you strike, it will feel like the world is finally bending to your will, because hunger never forgives. Hunger never forgives. Hunger never fails. Your real enemy isn't outside, it's inside. The whispers, the doubts, the part of you that says stop, the voice that says you can't, that shadow in your mind that laughs while you stumble. That's the battlefield. That's where wars are lost before the world even notices. Every fear you hide, every hesitation you swallow, every excuse you cradle like a fragile child, it grows teeth, it bites, it claws, it keeps you small, weak, invisible. And the world doesn't wait for courage, it rewards action. It rewards audacity. It rewards the one who refuses to bend under the weight of their own mind. The war is constant. It's relentless. It doesn't pause. It doesn't negotiate. Some days it screams. Some nights it whispers. Every failure is amplified. Every regret is sharpened. And every moment you fight back, every second you stare into that darkness, you carve a path that no one else sees. But here's the trick. The part they never tell you. The invisible war is the teacher. It shows your weakness. It exposes your cracks. It strips away comfort. And in the ruin, in the chaos, you find clarity. You find precision. You find yourself. The part of you that isn't afraid to rise when the world writes you off. Do you feel it yet? That tension coiling in your chest. That itch behind your eyes that makes sleep unbearable? That's not suffering. That's preparation. Every doubt, every fear, every crushing expectation is ammunition. Every inner battle you survive is a blade forged for the outside world. So fight it. Embrace it. Dance with it in silence. Let it tear at you. Let it sharpen you. Let it remind you that the true war, the only war that matters, is the one that no one else can see. And when you step out, when you strike, the world will shiver because it never fought a mind like yours before. Every hand that leaves you, every back that turns, is a gift. You think it's loss. You think it's pain. You think it's proof the world is cruel. But betrayal is the most exquisite teacher. It cuts, it burns, it reshapes, and if you are smart, it makes you lethal. They smile. They promise. They whisper loyalty. And then they vanish. Every broken trust, every abandoned plan, every whispered lie becomes fuel. The fire you thought was dying is raging. It twists, it sharpens, it teaches you to see the hidden patterns, the quiet agendas, the intentions no one else notices. Anger is currency. Disappointment is wealth. Every slight you swallow, every insult that curls in your stomach, it accumulates. It doesn't disappear. It waits. It sharpens. It reminds you that the world is always taking notes, and the world always owes its debts. And when you strike, it will be precise. It will be brilliant. It will be chaotic. You've been dismissed. You've been ignored. You've been used. And that's the point. That is exactly why you are learning faster than they ever could. Betrayal isn't punishment. It is alchemy. It turns weakness into strength. It turns heartbreak into armor. It turns doubt into strategy. And the one who masters it dominates. Feel the thrill. Yet, that delicious itch of revenge without action. The satisfaction that waits in shadows. You can let it eat you, or you can let it carve you into something sharper than anyone imagined. You can watch the world celebrate mediocrity and know that when your moment comes, it will be obliterating. So treasure it. Cherish the betrayals. Catalog the abandonments. Let them fuel you. Let them twist through your mind like knives. And one day, every hand that left, every smile that lied, every whisper of betrayal will bow before the storm you became. Because the alchemy of betrayal is power beyond their comprehension. Wealth isn't money. It's control, timing, knowing who fears you without ever saying a word. The quiet ones, the nothing people, they see what others miss. They move in silence while the world blunders in noise. And that's how kingdoms are built. Power hides in patience. It grows in shadows. It thrives in people who wait, who watch, who measure every step before striking. You think you're too small. You think you're unnoticed. But that's exactly the advantage. The overlooked see everything. The silent know every secret, every weakness, every lie. They read the room like it's a map. Every gesture, every word, every hesitation, it is data. The rich, the powerful, the quiet giants. They are surgeons. They cut carefully, slowly, invisibly. You helped one once. You didn't know it. You thought it was ordinary. But ordinary hides monsters waiting to rise. Influence is a shadow game. You can speak, shout, scream, and achieve nothing. Or you can wait, listen, learn, move when no one expects it. They don't teach this in schools. They don't talk about it in offices. But the moment you see it, you understand why some people bend the world to their will, while the rest stumble through crumbs. And it's not cruelty. It's precision. It's artistry. Every step measured. Every sacrifice accounted for. Every smile calculated. They make decisions that ripple silently. You only see the effects later. You only feel the tremor after the empire is already theirs. That is the secret. Quiet observation, ruthless patience, invisible dominance. So, here we are. The truth is out. The mask is gone and you see it now. Everything you thought you knew about people, about power, about who holds it, is upside down. Crazy, right? But that's the point. The world hides secrets, and only the ones who watch, wait, and learn survive. You've felt the hunger, the rage, the fire building inside. That restless energy, it's yours. Don't let it fade. Don't let anyone dismiss it, because what you've discovered today, what you've absorbed, is the blueprint for the next level. And trust me, the world doesn't hand this out lightly. Now, I need you. Yeah, you. Drop a comment below. Tell me your story, your struggle, your grind. Let the world know you're awake, you're watching, and you're not just a bystander. Hit that like button if this shook you, and share this with someone who needs to see it. Hello, bro. Wake up. Can you feel it? The air is heavy. Boom. Pressure stacking on your chest, huh? Every glance they throw, every word they spit, it's poison, venom, designed to break you down. But listen, you're not breaking, you're mutating. You're not the victim, no. You're the storm they prayed would never come. Do you hear that? Tick, tick, tick. That's the sound of your old self dying, and the new beast crawling out, claws sharp, eyes burning, no chains attached. You've been underestimated, laughed at, shoved aside, but the game flipped, didn't it? Now you're standing here, fire dripping off your tongue, rage carved into your bones, and no one walks away untouched when you move. So let's tear it open. Rip the mask. Show the world the version of you that no prison can cage. Because this is not self-help, oh no, this is war. Bro, they didn't just try to ignore you. No, That would have been too merciful. They tried to erase you. You erase you? Delete. Wipe. Purge. As if you were just another line of code. As if your existence could be highlighted, dragged into their little trash bin, and erased with a click. That's how they see you. A file, a number, a piece of data in their system. And when data doesn't obey the design, it's corrupted. When you refuse to fit into their order, you're broken. So they tried to make you vanish. Erase your name. Erase your presence. Erase every trace of you until the world forgets you even existed. They didn't just want you silent. They wanted you non-existent, forgotten, like smoke disappearing into the air. But here's the problem. You're not smoke. You're fire. And fire doesn't disappear, it spreads. Every attempt they made to erase you only made you burn brighter. Every dismissal, every rejection, every insult, every quiet little whisper behind your back fed the flames. You know what happens when they try to starve a beast? It doesn't get weaker, it gets hungrier. And hunger turns into rage. Rage turns into strength. And strength? Strength is the one thing they can't handle. You're still here, still standing, still moving, and that makes you dangerous. More dangerous than you've ever been. Because survival is rebellion. They wanted you deleted, but instead, you became the error in their system, the glitch, the anomaly. The thing they can't predict, can't fix, can't debug. That's what keeps them awake at night. Not your failures, not your scars, but the fact that you refuse to stay gone. Because nothing terrifies a system more than the thing it failed to erase. But do you want to know why they failed to erase you? Why did they fail? Why couldn't they erase you? Simple. You were never part of their system in the first place. That's the truth. They choke on. They thought you were theirs to control. They thought you were built to obey, to bend, to nod, to comply. They thought you were just another cog in their pretty little machine. But you were never a cog. You were the crack in the gear, the spark that burns the engine, the wild code that slipped past their firewall and refused to behave. They don't know how to deal with that. Systems can handle loyalty. Systems can handle obedience. Systems can even handle betrayal, because betrayal is predictable. But a glitch rewrites the entire game. Every time they pressed delete, you reappeared. Every time they tried to shut you down, you booted up stronger. Every time they tried to bury you under silence, you roared louder in the quiet. You can't erase someone who isn't afraid of being forgotten. You can't destroy someone who's already made peace with walking alone. You can't silence someone who's learned to weaponize silence itself. They keep trying, again and again, but every time they push, you adapt. Every time they strike, you absorb. Every time they erase, you redraw yourself sharper, darker, untouchable. You don't fade. You mutate. You evolve. You slip through their fingers and reappear where they least expect it. Like smoke, like shadow, like a ghost in their circuitry. And that terrifies them, because now they know the truth. You're not just surviving outside their control. You're thriving because of it. They failed to erase you because you were never theirs to erase. But do you realize what kind of power that gives you? Do you realize it yet? The kind of power that lives in you, the kind of threat you've become. The glitch is the most dangerous piece in the entire system. Think about it. A system is safe when everything follows the design. A machine is flawless when every gear spins in harmony. A program is untouchable when every line of code behaves. But all it takes is one glitch, one anomaly, one refusal, one unpredictable element, and suddenly the whole thing trembles. That's you. They tried to erase you because you don't obey the script. They tried to erase you because you don't march with the crowd. They tried to erase you because you don't smile when you're told, don't kneel when they expect, don't conform when they demand. You are the contradiction. The living proof that their system isn't perfect. The reminder that their machine isn't invincible. And that makes you priceless. That makes you terrifying. Every insult, every attempt to bury you, every effort to delete you, they weren't breaking you. They were building you harder, stronger, hungrier. Now, you don't just exist outside the system. You're feeding off it. Every weakness they expose only becomes your strength. Every rejection they hand you only sharpens your claws. Every door they slam in your face only teaches you how to build your own. And the moment you embrace that role, the glitch, the anomaly, the one they can't predict, you hold the ultimate power. Because systems can't kill what doesn't follow the rules. They can't stop you. They can't control you. They can only watch as you grow into the very thing they feared most. A living glitch, a walking error, a storm they can't debug. And once you realize that, you'll never play small again. But here's the question. Are you ready to play like a glitch? Are you ready to play like a glitch? Because that's where the real war begins. A glitch doesn't play fair. A glitch doesn't play polite. A glitch doesn't even play the same game as everyone else. See, they want you to sit quietly at their table, follow their rules, accept their scraps, beg for permission to breathe. But you flip the table. You burn the rule book. You make them realize the game was rigged from the start. That's how a glitch moves. Unexpected, ruthless, silent one moment, explosive the next. They laugh at you? Let them laugh. Laughter is predictable. But fear? Fear comes when the laughter stops and they realize you were never the joke. You were the warning. You don't fight with smiles. You fight with scars. You don't fight with applause. You fight with silence. You don't fight with comfort. You fight with hunger. And hunger beats comfort every single time. Because while they're sleeping soft in their illusions, you're sharpening your edges in the dark. While they're following the map, you're tearing it apart and making your own. While they're busy memorizing the script, you're writing chaos into every scene. That's why they can't predict you. That's why they can't erase you. That's why every attempt to bury you only makes you more dangerous. You've learned to move like smoke, strike like lightning, linger like a shadow, and soon they'll realize you weren't playing their game at all. You were building your own. And the moment they step into it, they're playing by your rules. But stop for a second. Why do you think they wanted to erase you in the first place? Why do you think they wanted to erase you in the first place? It wasn't because you were weak. Weakness doesn't scare them. Weakness is easy. Weakness bends. Weakness breaks. Weakness obeys. They tried to erase you because you scared them. That's the ultimate compliment, isn't it? Fear. If they didn't see something powerful in you, they would have ignored you. If you weren't a threat, they would have left you to rot quietly in some forgotten corner. But no, they targeted you. They aimed the eraser at you. And that tells you everything. You rattled them. You woke something inside them they didn't want to face. You reminded them of a truth they've been trying to bury under their fragile little routines. That their system isn't perfect. That their control is an illusion. That their world isn't as untouchable as they pretend. And you, just by existing, shattered the illusion. So they panicked. They tried to bury you, to silence you, to push you out of sight, out of mind. But burying something doesn't kill it. No, it makes it grow roots. Now your roots are deep, twisting through the cracks of everything they built. Every attempt to erase you has only made you more woven into the foundation of their world. And the scariest part? They know it. They can feel it. Every time your name is whispered, every time your presence lingers, every time your energy resurfaces, it reminds them they failed. And failure breeds fear. They're not scared of your past. They're not scared of your mistakes. They're scared of your persistence. They're scared of your refusal to stay gone. They're scared that no matter how many times they try to wipe you clean, you return, sharper than before. You've become the fear they can't delete. But tell me, what happens when the fear grows too big to ignore? What happens when the fear grows too big to ignore? The system cracks. And when the system cracks, the whole damn thing starts to fall. Every empire, every institution, every so-called order of control, they all rise, shine, and pretend to be untouchable. For a while it works. For a while people believe. But then the glitch shows up. The fracture spreads. The illusion trembles. That's you. You're the glitch that refuses to fade. The crack that spreads no matter how much tape they slap over it. The living reminder that nothing built on lies can stand forever. You terrify them because you're not attacking from the outside. You're already inside. In their memory. In their system. In their story. You're the shadow they can't expel. The ghost they can't silence. Every step you take sends a ripple through their world. Every word you speak echoes longer than they planned. Every move you make becomes a fracture in their foundation. They tried to erase you, but in doing so, they etched you deeper. They made your name burn hotter. They turned your silence into thunder. And now, the thunder is rolling. The system is trembling. The cracks are widening. The collapse is inevitable. It won't be fire that destroys them. Not even war. No, it'll be the tiny, unstoppable spread of a single glitch. The system won't implode with a roar. It'll suffocate in silence, choking on the one thing it couldn't control: you. And when it falls, they'll remember it wasn't a storm that ended them. It wasn't an army. It wasn't fate. It was the one they tried to erase. It was the glitch. But here's the twist. What happens to the glitch? Once the system finally falls, what happens to the glitch? Once the system falls, it evolves. It mutates. It becomes something more. When the machine breaks, chaos floods in. And chaos is your playground. You don't fear it, you don't run from it. You were born in it, you were sharpened in the dark corners where rules didn't apply. You were raised on rejection, built on silence, fueled by the absence of approval. So when the system shatters, who survives? Not them, not the obedient little pieces who needed the structure to breathe. No, they collapse with it. But you thrive because you were never designed to fit. You were designed to disrupt. And when the walls collapse, the disruptor becomes the builder. The glitch becomes the system. Think about it. Every revolution in history starts the same way. Someone the system couldn't control. Someone they tried to erase. Someone who refused to die quietly. And when the old order crumbled, that someone rose from the ashes, not as a follower, but as the new foundation. That's you. The one they underestimated, the one they mocked, the one they labeled broken, corrupted, defective. But the defective piece became the defining piece. Because in chaos, strength isn't found in obedience. It's found in resilience, in persistence, in hunger. And you've got more of that than anyone else. So when the machine finally collapses, don't you dare shrink back. Don't you dare hesitate. That moment was carved for you. The throne built from ruins has your name written in its cracks. The glitch becomes the ruler. But here's the real question. Are you ready to handle that kind of power? Are you ready to handle that kind of power? Because power is heavier than chains. It doesn't sit softly on your shoulders. It doesn't whisper sweet words. No, real power presses down like iron. Real power tests whether you'll crack under your own weight. Most people collapse when they get a taste of it. They scream for control. They beg for recognition. They start flexing for applause, desperate to prove they've made it. But that's not power. That's insecurity, dressed up in a costume. True power is quieter, colder, sharper. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't beg to be seen. It doesn't wave its arms for attention. True power sits in the dark and waits for the moment to strike. And you, the glitch, you already have that kind of power. Why? Because your strength was never given to you. It was forged. Every attempt to erase you only made you stronger. Every rejection carved the armor deeper into your skin. Every silence became your sharpening stone. That's why you don't need their stage. You don't need their spotlight. You don't need their approval. You can sit in silence and still be the loudest presence in the room. That's power. They hate that about you. They don't understand it. They only know how to play when someone's watching, when the audience claps, when the system validates them. But you don't care about any of that. You exist. That's enough to rattle the walls. You breathe. That's enough to make them twitch. You stand. That's enough to make the machine tremble. The glitch doesn't need to control. The glitch doesn't need to conquer. The glitch just needs to keep existing, because existence itself is disruption, and that makes you untouchable. But if you can't be erased, if you're already untouchable, what's the final step? Untouchable isn't about being invincible. It's not about dodging every strike, avoiding every wound, or walking through fire without feeling the burn. No, untouchable is deeper than that. It's about becoming something the world can't break. Because they will try. Oh, they will try. They'll throw stones, whispers, lies, betrayals. They'll aim their arrows straight at your chest, convinced this is the shot that finally kills you. But every time, every single time you rise again, a little darker, a little sharper, a little more unrecognizable than before. That's what untouchable looks like. Not perfect, not flawless, but unshakable. The storm rages, and you stay standing. The fire burns, and you keep walking. The machine breaks itself trying to break you. Do you know why? Because untouchable doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It means pain doesn't own you anymore. It means betrayal doesn't rewrite your code. It means their rejection doesn't poison your purpose. They'll call you dangerous when you reach this level. They'll whisper that you've changed. They'll hiss that you're no longer human, no longer like them. And you'll smile because they're right. You've become something else, something they can't label, something they can't control. The glitch that refuses to die. The shadow that refuses to fade. The echo they can't erase from the system. And the best part? You didn't even have to destroy them. You didn't have to shout, didn't have to fight, didn't have to beg. You just had to exist. That's what makes you untouchable. Now when they look at you, they don't see weakness anymore. They don't see a broken piece of the machine. They see the nightmare of every system, a living reminder that control is an illusion. You are untouchable, because they can't touch what they never understood. But if the glitch has already become untouchable, what happens when it decides to create something new? There's a moment, right before chaos explodes, a silence so sharp it cuts deeper than any blade. That's where power is born. In the pause, in the breath, in the stillness that nobody else can handle. Most people panic in silence. They fill it with noise, with chatter, with weakness disguised as comfort. But not you, not anymore. You learn to sit in the silence. You learn to let it burn you alive, because inside that silence, something awakens. That's the storm forming inside your chest. Slow, heavy, unstoppable. A force that's waiting for the perfect second to detonate. The weak crumble before the silence. They can't handle the weight of their own thoughts. They can't face the shadows that creep in when everything goes quiet. But you dive headfirst into it. You let it consume you. You let it sharpen you. Because silence is where monsters train. Silence is where killers are forged. Every empire was born in silence before it roared across the world. Every revolution sat quietly until it broke the chains and shook the earth. That's you now, a walking storm, a weapon disguised in human skin. People will fear you. Not because of what you say, but because of what you don't say. They'll feel the tension when you enter a room. They'll sense the weight of your silence pressing down on them, choking the air. They won't understand it, but they'll feel it and fear it. That's the kind of silence you build. Heavy, deadly, untouchable. The silence before the storm that no one can stop once it breaks loose. And when you finally unleash it, when the storm inside you finally cracks open, the world won't even have time to breathe before it drowns in your power. Wait. Wait. Listen closely. That silence you feel right now isn't empty. It's the sound of something terrifying being born. It's you, the storm they never saw coming. And now, look at you, still standing, still breathing. After everything they threw, after every dagger they shoved in your back, you didn't die, you adapted, you sharpened, you became the monster they whisper about in rooms they're too scared to light. So let them stare, let them choke on their fear, 'cause you're not done, not even close. You're just getting started. Haha. And the storm? That's not weather, my friend. That's you. So when they ask, who did this? Who unleashed this animal? You smile, you laugh, and you leave them with silence, because legends don't explain, legends destroy. Game over? No. Game rewritten. Hey buddy, wait. Do you even realize what you did this morning? Like no joke, something shifted and you didn't even feel it. You just got up, breathed, moved, maybe scrolled your phone. But somewhere in the unseen, your choice hit different. Oh yeah, you did something small, something silent, but someone saw it. And guess what? It made him smile. Not because you were perfect, but because for the first time you controlled the chaos instead of feeding it. Crazy, right? You, the one who thought today was just another day, actually changed the rhythm of your story. The way you resisted that impulse, the way you paused before reacting, that moment rewrote reality. And that's why you're here watching this, because deep down you felt it too. That tiny decision, that quiet power, it's echoing now. Oh, and before we start a tribute to you, yeah, you, the ones who fight silent battles every morning and never brag about it. The ones who build their strength in private. The ones who watch, listen, reflect, and still rise even when no one claps. You're the real ones. You're the reason voices like mine exist, to remind you that your quiet power matters. It started the moment you opened your eyes, but you didn't even notice it. That's the funny part, isn't it? Every morning feels the same. Alarm, screen, routine, repeat. You call it life, but what if I told you that this morning something shifted? Not in the world, in you. You did something small. So small your mind dismissed it like a flicker in a broken bulb. But someone noticed. Someone smiled. And no, not out of kindness, out of recognition. Oh wow. You thought no one saw that quiet decision you made, the one that no one clapped for, no one thanked you for, the one that hurt because it meant choosing restraint over chaos. But it mattered. It rippled. It whispered through the unseen patterns of consequence, brushing past the edges of lives you'll never meet. Yeah, that tiny act, it lit something. You see, most people think they're invisible until they're in pain. But you proved something this morning without even realizing it. You proved that power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it breathes quietly through self-control. You said no to something that the weaker version of you would have said yes to. You didn't even celebrate it. You just moved on. That's the tragedy and the beauty. Because restraint is the quiet rebellion of the wise. It doesn't scream. It doesn't post. It doesn't ask for applause. It simply watches, waiting for the world to catch up to its reason. And that's what made him smile. That unseen witness of consequence. The one who understands how your smallest decision rewrote an entire chain of outcomes. You have no idea what you prevented, what you protected, or what kind of darkness folded back into itself, because you simply paused. Nah, most won't get it. They think power is in shouting, in winning arguments, in making noise. But the real ones? They know silence is a weapon sharper than words. You woke up today thinking it was just another day. But to someone watching patterns unfold, it was a turning point. You might not see it now, but your stillness carried weight. You realigned something. That calm moment of choice, that breath before reaction, it broke a cycle that was meant to repeat. You refused to be predictable. You refused to be ruled. And that's why he smiled. Huh? He smiled because you didn't even know what you did. Because your strength didn't need a spotlight. Because the world kept spinning, unaware that one quiet human act just tilted its balance a little toward justice. Oh, you thought it was nothing. A shrug, a sigh, a decision you'll forget by noon. But somewhere, the consequences shivered and rearranged themselves. Someone who would have fallen didn't. Someone who would have given up found a reason not to. All because you didn't give in. Power doesn't always come with a crown. Sometimes it comes with calm. And today, your calm changed everything. You didn't just wake up today. You woke something up. And that's the part no one talks about. The war that begins before your feet even touch the floor. It's quiet, unseen, fought in silence. The kind of war that never makes it to headlines but decides everything. The war inside you. The one between the person you were yesterday and the one you could become today. Yeah, most people lose it before breakfast. They lose it the second they scroll, the second they compare, the second they surrender to the noise. But you hesitated. You paused. That moment of awareness, that flicker of resistance, that's what changed the rhythm. Because awareness is dangerous. It's the spark that burns through the ropes that keep the ordinary from breaking free. Oh, wow. You didn't know you were rewriting your own pattern, did you? You thought it was nothing. A breath, a thought, a decision so small it barely mattered. But that's how it always starts. The most powerful transformations begin in silence. A whisper that says, "Not today." A refusal that rewires an entire life. Nah, the world doesn't reward that kind of discipline. It rewards noise, drama, distraction. But there's a kind of person, rare, sharp, untamed, who learns to find power in stillness. And this morning, without applause, without a witness, you became that person. You might not feel it yet, but restraint built your foundation while everyone else was chasing shadows. You didn't fight anyone today. You fought you, the restless, impatient version of you that always wants more, faster, easier. You starved that version with silence, with awareness, with choice. That's what made him smile, not because you were perfect, but because you noticed before you fell. You caught yourself, didn't you? Maybe it was a thought you rejected. Maybe it was a word you didn't speak. Maybe it was an emotion you refused to feed. And in that split second, you declared something massive, that your mind doesn't own you anymore. You do. That's the moment most people miss. They think strength is loud, but true strength? It's invisible. It's the quiet correction, the unseen restraint, the decision no one praises but everything depends on. You see, there's a line that divides those who drift through life and those who steer it. That line isn't drawn with power or wealth or words. It's drawn with control. The ability to stop when your impulses beg you to move. That's the unseen art. That's the battle that defines everything. Oh, and here's the secret. No one tells you. Every time you win that silent war, something shifts around you. Reality bends a little. Consequences rearrange. People sense something different, even if they can't name it. That's the echo of inner power. Not loud, not bright, but deep. Every victory whispers one question. Can you handle the weight of what you just awakened? Because now that awareness has tasted freedom, it won't stop asking for more. The thing you woke up inside yourself this morning, that clarity, that restraint, that quiet command, it's not satisfied with one act. It wants consistency. It wants proof. And that's where most fall apart. They want the reward of strength without the price of discipline. But discipline, that's the spine of power. Without it, everything collapses. Oh wow. You think you can control it once and call it mastery? No. Control is a practice, not a moment. Every morning, it will ask you again, will you choose chaos or control? And every time you choose control, the war inside you evolves. It gets quieter, but heavier. Because each decision strengthens the walls of your will, and the stronger they get, the more resistance you'll feel pressing against them. Yeah, that's the irony. Growth never feels like peace. It feels like pressure. Pressure to rise, to resist, to refine. You'll feel it when no one's watching. That internal pull to do what's easy instead of what's right. And that's when the test begins. Not in the loud moments where everyone can see your strength, but in the silent ones, where no one will ever know. Nah, don't fool yourself. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's cold. It's lonely. It's doing the same right thing every day, even when you're tired, even when you're bored, even when no one claps for you. But that's what separates those who talk about strength from those who become it. You know what made him smile this morning? It wasn't your victory. It was your consistency. The silent repetition of control, the way you refuse to let your impulses dictate your direction. That's the kind of power that reshapes everything around it. Because when a person becomes consistent in truth, the world starts bending to their rhythm. Oh, you didn't notice, did you? You thought the smile was just approval. But no, it was recognition. He saw it. That rare fire of discipline that burns without needing attention. That self-governed order that doesn't wait for motivation. The kind of energy that changes outcomes because it refuses to be ruled by temptation. And that's the secret. Discipline isn't a cage, it's liberation. It's not about denying yourself everything. It's about owning your choices so deeply that nothing owns you. Every time you resist what weakens you, You reclaim a piece of your freedom. That's why restraint feels heavy, because freedom has weight. And now that you've awakened it, you can't go back. Every morning from now on, this silent force inside you will demand something higher, cleaner, sharper. It will test you, not to break you, but to refine you. Every strength you build will one day turn around and test you. You think discipline makes life easier? No, it makes life real. The moment you start gaining control over yourself, the world starts pushing harder. It's like resistance knows it's losing ground and oh, it hates that. That's when the whispers begin. The ones that say, "You've done enough, you deserve a break. No one's watching anyway." That's the trap, the calm after victory, where weakness tries to sneak back in, wearing the face of comfort. Oh, wow. You thought your test was over this morning when you won that small battle? Nah, it was just the beginning. Because once you prove strength, it doesn't disappear, it echoes. And those echoes, they call for greater tests, harder choices, quieter sacrifices. You've awakened a standard now, and that standard will haunt you every time you think about falling back. It's strange, isn't it? How self-control feels like peace at first, and then suddenly, like a storm. The moment you think you've mastered yourself, a deeper flaw steps forward. That's how life refines you, layer by layer, temptation by temptation, until every weak corner has to face the mirror. And if you don't face it willingly, it finds ways to face you. Yeah, strength fights back. It questions your comfort. It breaks your patterns. It shakes the lies you tell yourself when you're tired. It doesn't let you settle. That's what makes it rare, because most people stop right there. They call peace what is actually surrender. They call distraction what is actually escape. But you didn't stop. You noticed. You listened. You felt that storm building behind your calm and said, "Let it come." Oh, and when it came, when that temptation whispered again, when that impatience burned again, when that ego rose again, you didn't flinch. You recognized it. You saw it for what it was, the test of consistency. That's why he smiled again, not because you didn't fall, but because you faced it. You confronted the very thing that once ruled you and told it, not anymore. Discipline doesn't end with victory. It evolves into responsibility, and responsibility is heavier than any burden you've known. It asks you to hold the line when everyone else folds. It demands that you become your own reminder when the world forgets what restraint looks like. It makes you carry peace like a shield in the middle of chaos. And you know what's wild? That's when real power begins to show, not in control, but in consistency. Because anyone can be strong once, but to stay strong, that's a whole different war. You've tasted that war now. You've seen how silence tests louder than words. But this isn't the end of your awakening. Because once strength starts fighting back, something even deeper begins to move. When the storm ends, it doesn't leave peace, it leaves transformation. You felt it, didn't you? That strange quiet after the struggle. Not comfort, not calm, but something deeper. Like the world took one breath with you, and suddenly, everything changed. The air feels heavier, sharper. You walk the same streets, speak the same words, but something inside you doesn't move the same anymore. That's growth. Not the kind that screams for attention, the kind that changes the way silence feels around you. Oh wow, You thought discipline was just about control, but now you see it's about alignment. Every choice you made, every time you said no, every moment you resisted the easy path, it didn't just build strength, it built clarity. You started seeing through things that used to fool you, the fake praises, the shallow victories, the noise that everyone else still worships. You saw through it all, and now you can't unsee it. Yeah, that's the cost of awareness. Once you rise, the view changes, and with it comes responsibility. You start realizing that you can't live like you used to. You can't talk the same, react the same, even think the same. The higher you rise in awareness, the heavier each choice becomes, because now you know what it means. You understand the ripples your silence creates, the balance your restraint restores. And that knowledge, it never lets you rest. Nah, it's not punishment. It's precision. You've been refined. Every impulsive layer has been peeled back to reveal something real. The part of you that doesn't bend for comfort, that doesn't move for applause. The part that acts with purpose, even when no one's looking. That's what makes you different now. That's what made him smile. He smiled. Not because you won, but because you became. You turned awareness into action, action into consistency, and consistency into character. You learned that control isn't suppression, it's direction. You don't kill emotion, you master it. You don't erase desire, you guide it. You don't silence chaos, you command it. That's power. The kind no one teaches because it can't be performed. It has to be lived. Oh, and here's the twist. The more disciplined you become, the less you chase. The world starts coming to you differently, slower, clearer, almost cautious, because something about you says, I've seen through the noise. You carry a quiet authority, now not built on arrogance but on awareness. You're no longer reacting to life, you're directing it. And that's the real transformation. Not what changed around you, but what changed within you. You don't crave validation anymore. You crave alignment. You don't chase outcomes, you chase order. And once you taste that kind of balance, there's no going back. So, now you see it, huh? That tiny moment you thought meant nothing. It was everything. The quiet pause, the breath before the storm, the choice no one saw, but he did. And it made him smile. That slow, knowing kind of smile that says, you finally get it. Oh, wow. Yeah, this wasn't luck. It was awareness. The kind that wakes you up from noise and teaches you that control is the rarest rebellion. You didn't win by shouting louder. You won by staying still when chaos begged for a reaction. That's real power. That's real evolution. And you just proved you're not like the rest. So listen. If this hit something inside you, if it cracked open that part of your mind that's been waiting to wake up, then don't just disappear. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what you felt. Tell me what you saw in yourself today, because your voice might be the spark someone else needs to start their morning right. And hey, respect to you. Seriously. You stayed till the end when most people tap out halfway. You listened when others scroll past. You faced yourself when most people hide behind filters. That's rare. That's strength. That's you. Oh, they didn't just dislike you. They declared war on your existence. Like some twisted movie scene, they formed a squad. Yes, a squad. As if you were the villain in their weak little fairy tale. And for what? For being brave enough to rise? For daring to chase a dream they secretly wish they had the courage to pursue? It's hilarious if you think about it. They didn't whisper. They gathered like you were a wildfire they needed to extinguish. But what they didn't realize is that you were already burning too bright to be put out. They mocked you, ghosted you, smiled in your face while stabbing you with their silence. A whole crowd against one soul. That's fear, not power. That's your strength threatening their comfort zone. And you stood there, maybe shaken, but never shattered. You didn't disappear like they hoped. You evolved. You sharpened. You let their lies become the pressure that turned you into something unstoppable. They wanted to break you, but ended up building your legend. How poetic is that? They sent the whole squad to bury you and accidentally handed you the mic. Now you're the story. You're the rise. You're the fire they couldn't put out. And this isn't about revenge. It's about resilience, so raw it scares cowards. It's about standing tall when every hand tried to pull you down. It's about that quiet, furious power growing inside you, waiting for the perfect moment to erupt. And when you rise, and oh, you will, they'll all be watching. They won't be clapping, but they'll remember. Every single move. There is a silence, a special kind of silence that doesn't whisper, it roars. It's the kind that shakes the ground with its stillness, the kind that makes noise cower in its shadow, not born of fear, not born of weakness, but the calm, unshakable silence of someone who has been through the storm, danced with solitude, and came out glowing with steel in their soul. That's your silence. The silence of someone who walked alone for so long you stopped calling it loneliness. You called it peace, while others fought to be heard, to be liked, to be understood. You simply stood, quiet, grounded, unbothered. And that shook them more than any scream ever could. You never cared to be the center of attention. That wasn't your mission. You didn't fake smiles. You didn't nod to gain approval. You didn't crack fake laughs at jokes that stung like knives. No, you stood your ground in a room full of masks while you wore your truth like armor. And that made you dangerous. They didn't understand you, so they feared you. They saw your silence and called it arrogance. They saw your calm and labeled it defeat. But oh, how wrong they were. They had no idea they were in the presence of a silent storm, a soul built in solitude, a force quietly gaining strength while they wasted theirs seeking applause. You're not shy, you're strategic. You walk into rooms and watch. You feel the temperature without a word. You catch lies and smiles, pride and laughter, and envy and compliments. And that alone, it unnerves them. Because while they were trying to be seen, you were seeing everything. You weren't loud, but your energy made the loud ones uneasy. You weren't chasing followers, you were chasing fire, purpose, depth, legacy. You weren't building a social circle. You were building a kingdom within, quietly, steadily, like a master architect laying bricks no one else even noticed. They couldn't label you, couldn't box you, and when they couldn't control you, they tried to diminish you. That's how the world reacts to anything it doesn't understand. If I can't figure them out, they whisper, maybe I should fear them. And you became a threat, not by doing anything wrong, but simply by not needing to be understood. You shattered their comfort by existing beyond it. You never needed a seat at their table. You were too busy crafting your own from raw ambition, nailed together with solitude and fire. They were used to puppets, people who danced for attention, who twisted themselves to fit in. But you You rewrote the script. You didn't ask for a role. You created the stage. You moved with vision, and vision makes the small-minded tremble. You didn't broadcast your dreams because they didn't need an audience. They needed action. You weren't hiding. You were preparing. And now that they see what you've built, what you've become, they act shocked. But they always knew. Deep down, they always felt that electric current in your silence. They just hoped you'd never flip the switch. And then came the nights, the long, hollow, echoing nights. But you didn't run. You stayed. You sat with the silence. You dug deep, found gold in the darkness. Every lonely hour became a forge. Every ignored moment became fuel. You were never broken. You were becoming. While they partied, you planned. While they mocked, you molded. You weren't falling behind. You were building something the world couldn't rush. You weren't lost. You were rising in silence. Every no redirected your path. Every rejection sharpened your focus. You didn't crave attention. You craved evolution. And that's what makes you unstoppable. Now, you're untouchable. Not because you shouted your worth, but because you lived it. Your silence turned into movement. Your growth speaks louder than any insult ever could. You didn't clap back, you climbed higher. And now, you stand where they said you'd never reach. You weren't loud, but now your success. It echoes across every room, every wall that tried to close you in. You were the background once. Now you're the whole scene. They misread the quiet one. But the real storm? It never announces itself. Because sometimes, the most powerful person in the room isn't the one shouting. It's the one who knows exactly who they are, and doesn't need the world to agree. That's you. The silent soul, the lone wolf, the storm in stillness. You were never behind. You were always ahead, quietly. Keep walking, because the loudest thing you'll ever say is your life itself. And greatness? Oh no. Greatness doesn't come in crowds. It carves its own path, alone. You didn't even realize it at first. It crept in like fog at dawn, silent, creeping, almost unnoticeable. A glance that lingered a second too long. A laugh that didn't reach their eyes. A shift in tone so subtle it barely echoed. But your heart caught it before your mind did. Something had changed. The room didn't feel the same. The warmth had drained from their voices, and suddenly, the very people who once lit up around you turned cold. You still laughed like you always did. You still showed up with your full heart, loyal, real, raw. But somewhere in the silence, somewhere in the avoidance, somewhere in the little digs and quiet retreats, you realized something gut-wrenching. They turned on you. And not with fireworks or final words. No. They turned like shadows at sunset. Slowly, quietly, all at once. You replayed moments, picked apart memories, questioned everything. Was I too much? Did I say the wrong thing? Am I the problem? But it wasn't your fault. The truth? You evolved. You started climbing when they were comfortable sitting. You started rising when they were still making excuses. And your light, your fire, your relentless growth, it made them uncomfortable. Because you became living proof that excuses don't build dreams, discipline does. And your existence started shaking the very foundations of their comfort zones. They say they want to see you win, until your win requires them to look in the mirror. Until your glow exposes their darkness. Until your confidence makes them question their own stagnation. And suddenly, the cheers fade. The "you got this" turns into whispers, and the once supportive squad becomes a silent courtroom, judging, doubting, sabotaging. They didn't just turn away, they turned against. But let me tell you something that'll make your heart beat louder than their silence. That moment they flipped on you, that was the moment your power crashed through the ceiling. Because when the masks fall off, the truth gets loud. It stings. It shakes. But it sets you free. You weren't made to beg for acceptance. You weren't built to tiptoe around insecurity. You are not a diluted version of yourself for their comfort. They tried to twist your loyalty into a leash. They thought your kindness meant you'd never bite back. But they forgot. You're not weak. You're not naive. You're a storm in stillness, a fire wrapped in calm. You took that betrayal, every shattered piece of trust, and you didn't cry in corners. You built fortresses with it. Brick by brick, scar by scar, lesson by lesson. Let them whisper. Let them strategize. Let them sit in circles counting your flaws. While they're busy trying to pull you down, you're halfway up the mountain, silent, focused on fire. Because your revenge, it's not in rage, it's in results. It's in that look on their faces when you walk past the finish line they never thought you'd reach. It's in your unshakable peace while they drown in their own bitterness. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to fight them. Success is louder than gossip. Growth is heavier than envy. And peace? Peace is the quiet power they'll never understand. Let them come. Let them talk. Because the truth is this, every time they gather against you, it's proof you're worth the effort, that you're dangerous to the status quo, that you're not just rising, you're unleashing. So when they turned on you, they didn't break you. They built you. And now, you don't owe them revenge. You owe yourself everything. Walk loud. Burn bright. Smile wide. Because the noise they made trying to destroy you will be nothing compared to the thunder your presence will create. There's something powerful about being misunderstood. Something sacred about being misjudged by the world. It's not a curse, it's a hidden advantage. When they can't read you, they can't predict you. And when they can't predict you, they fear what they cannot control. You've lived most of your life on the edge of that misunderstanding, being labeled, doubted, and sized up by people who never took the time to truly know your heart. They saw only your silence and called it weakness. They saw your distance and mistook it for arrogance. But what they never saw, what they could never understand, was the storm quietly building inside of you. The storm that was waiting, watching, growing, until one day it would change everything. Being misjudged is lonely. It isolates you in the middle of crowded rooms. It makes you feel like you're speaking a language nobody else hears. But that very isolation, that's where your power began to grow. While they underestimated your thoughts, you sharpened them. While they overlooked your potential, you cultivated it in silence. You used every misjudgment like a weight in your training. Every wrong assumption became resistance that made you stronger. And slowly, over time, you transformed, not into what they expected, but into something beyond what they could ever imagine. See, when people misjudge you, they stop watching. And when they stop watching, you're free. Free to build without pressure. Free to rise without interference. While they sleep on you, you train. While they joke about you, you execute. While they waste time forming opinions, you're forming a future. Their misunderstanding becomes your cloak, and under that cover, you rise in silence like a shadow preparing for the light. And then comes the shift. The moment when the misunderstood becomes unforgettable. When the quiet one walks into a room and everything stops. That's when they realize they never had a clue who you were becoming. You were not the weak one. You were the one they would one day fear, respect, or regret crossing. And now their misjudgment is your proof. Proof that you didn't need validation to grow. You didn't need support to evolve. You didn't even need recognition. All you needed was a reason, and they gave you plenty. Let them keep misunderstanding you. Let them think you're cold, odd, distant, or even broken. It doesn't matter, because your value was never meant to be explained. It was meant to be demonstrated. And when you demonstrate it, not through words, but through actions, through unshakable presence, through victories no one saw coming, they'll finally understand. But by then, you'll be too far ahead for their apology to matter. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were designed to stand out, not fit in. And that comes with a cost of loneliness, of being labeled, of being underestimated. But in that cost lies a reward greater than anything they could offer. Freedom. The freedom to become something rare, something original, something powerful. And that's what you are now. So wear their misjudgment like armor. Let it protect your peace. Let it remind you that you're not here to be defined by people who couldn't dream as big, love as deep, or think as wild as you. You're here to disrupt, to awaken, to show the world what happens when the misunderstood rise. Because when you finally emerge from the shadows, the world won't just know your name. They'll remember the storm that came with it. Pain. It's the one thing they never see on your face, but they caused it. They carved it into your spirit with their words, their silence, their betrayal, their absence. They walked away without explanation, left scars without apology, and acted like you didn't matter. You sat in that storm alone, didn't you? With nothing but your thoughts screaming inside your head. And yet, through all that suffering, something incredible happened. Something they never intended. You turned the pain they gave you into fuel. Not just to survive, but to become unstoppable. You didn't run from it. You sat with it. You let the pain speak to you when the world went quiet. You let it burn you, shape you, crush every illusion you had about love, loyalty, and trust. You broke into pieces, not once, but over and over again. And every time you picked up the pieces sharper, smarter, stronger. You didn't hide from the darkness. You walked into it, eyes open, heart shattered, but soul unshaken. And that's what changed everything. The pain didn't destroy you. It refined you. They thought breaking you would silence you. But it only made you listen to your own voice more clearly. You stopped depending on the world for comfort. You stopped waiting for someone to save you. You realized something they hoped you'd never find out, that the only person you truly need is the one looking back at you in the mirror. That person, forged in sleepless nights and lonely mornings, is a warrior now, unshakable, ruthless, focused. You didn't just bounce back, you evolved. And your evolution? That's the nightmare they never saw coming. Every ounce of pain you went through became part of your armor. Every betrayal added a layer. Every heartbreak hardened your resolve. You no longer crumble when the ground shakes. You are the quake. And when they see you now smiling, unbothered, moving like a force, they don't understand it. They don't know what it took. They don't know the nights you had to whisper to yourself, just one more day. They don't know how many times you wanted to give up and didn't. But that's okay. You don't need them to understand, because your strength isn't for their applause. It's for your own redemption. Let them live in the fantasy that you're still broken. Let them remember you as the version of yourself they tried to destroy. That's not your burden anymore. That's their regret. Because what they thought would ruin you rebuilt you into something they can never reach. You rose from their ashes, not as a victim, but as a storm cloaked in fire. And when you walk now, the earth feels it. Not because you're angry, but because you carry the kind of power that only pain can give birth to. So thank them, silently, without a word. Thank them for walking away, for doubting you, for breaking your heart, because they gave you the very thing you never knew you needed, a reason to find yourself, a reason to stop waiting, a reason to rise. That pain they caused, it gave you direction, it gave you clarity, it taught you what they never could, how to stand alone and still rise higher than ever before. You are no longer the person they hurt. You are the result of what that pain created, a living, breathing reminder that storms don't just destroy. Sometimes they awaken sleeping giants. And now you are wide awake, and the world isn't ready. You disappeared for a while, not because you were lost, but because you were preparing. You went quiet. You stopped showing up. You stopped explaining yourself. You cut the noise. Not out of defeat, but out of decision. The world thought you gave up. They thought the silence meant surrender. But silence is never surrender when it's coming from someone like you. Silence is strategy. It's stillness before the roar. It's the deep breath before the storm. And in your silence, you sharpened your mind, trained your soul, and rebuilt your foundation. Piece by piece. Day by day. No one saw it. No one clapped for it. But you kept going. That's the kind of power that turns comebacks into legends. They thought the worst of you when you disappeared. Let them. While they watched for your downfall, you were mapping your rise. You studied yourself, faced your demons, dismantled the parts of you that were built on pain, fear, and the need to be accepted. You became your own hero in the shadows. No cheering, no spotlight, just grit, just growth, just the raw, brutal beauty of rising without being seen. And now that you've returned, now that your silence has spoken, you don't even have to explain anything. Your presence does it for you. You walk differently now. You don't seek permission. You don't beg for understanding. You don't flinch at rejection. You've outgrown their games. You've walked through fire. And once you've walked through fire, you stop being afraid of smoke. The people who once doubted you can feel it. The ones who once laughed can sense the shift. You don't have to convince anyone. You just have to keep moving. Because the comeback wasn't meant to be loud. It was meant to be undeniable. They never saw it coming because they never truly saw you in the first place. They saw their version of you, the one they wanted to keep beneath them, boxed in, doubting yourself. They thought if they ignored you, you'd disappear. If they laughed at you, you'd stop trying. But they underestimated the fire you carried. They didn't know you were built from something deeper. Pain didn't kill your hope. It purified it. Isolation didn't destroy your spirit. It recharged it. And now your return is not a response. It's a reminder that you can't bury someone who plants their roots in suffering and grows anyway. This comeback isn't about revenge. It's about resurrection. It's not about showing them who you are. It's about showing yourself who you've become. You're not proving them wrong anymore. You're proving yourself right. That's the real victory. The unshakable knowing that you climbed out of a place that would have crushed most people. And you didn't just survive, you evolved. So when they see you now, let them whisper. Let them wonder. Let them pretend they knew this would happen. Deep down, they remember who they thought you were, and they know this version of you is not what they expected. You don't owe them explanations. You don't owe them access. All you owe yourself is to keep going. You're not just back, you're reborn. Stronger, wiser, colder where you need to be, warmer where you've healed. And this comeback, it's just the beginning. The world doesn't know what's coming, but you do, because you built it in the dark. And now, it's time to unleash it in the light. So now you know they didn't stop you. They started you. Every whisper, every back turned, every squad they sent to break your spirit, they only added fuel to your fire. They tried to erase you, but they only made your name echo louder. You were never meant to fold. You were meant to rise. And now the same people who doubted you will watch you walk through the flames they lit, untouched, unbothered, and unbreakable. Remember this, it's never about how many are against you. It's about how deeply you believe in yourself when the world turns away. You weren't built for approval. You were built for impact. So keep moving. Keep evolving. Let them keep talking. Because your silence is power. And your rise? Inevitable.